Hello everyone. This is Six Path Weeb, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we continue our exciting Naruto fanfiction journey with What If Naruko Became an ANBU Swordswoman? Part 2. In the previous part, we witnessed Naruko take her first steps into a path far different from the one fate originally intended. Trained in secrecy, hardened by missions, and wielding a blade instead of relying solely on her ninja instincts, she began carving her own legend within the shadows of Konoha. Now, in Part 2, the challenges become greater, the enemies more dangerous, and the consequences of every decision far more significant. How will Naruko's life change as an elite ANBU operative? What new allies and rivals await her? And how will her choices reshape the future of the Hidden Leaf? Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. Disclaimer: the content on this channel is created for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any anime footage, images, music, or other copyrighted material used in my videos. All rights and credit belong to their respective creators and copyright holders. With that said, sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. Let's begin. Naruko looked at Kakashi, who had just stood up after stretching and glancing at the sun. "It's nearly 10, so we'd better head over to the others," he said, sounding a little disappointed. Kakashi wasn't particularly eager to deal with the rest of the team interrupting his peaceful morning. "How are we getting there?" Naruko asked. "The walk would take 10 to 15 minutes. "Sunshine. Do you know it?" Kakashi asked. Naruko shook her head. "How do I do it?" Kakashi considered the question. Since she had asked directly, there was no reason not to explain it. "These are the hand signs," he said, demonstrating them carefully. "There are only 3, and this jutsu isn't especially difficult. What most ninjas struggle with is the amount of chakra it requires, but that shouldn't be a problem for you. Focus on the place you want to reach and picture it as clearly as possible in your mind. One more thing, try not to use it too many times in a row. Overusing it can make your leg muscles sore." The blonde girl nodded. She formed the hand signs, spoke the technique's name, and instantly appeared near the edge of the clearing. She blinked in surprise. "That wasn't nearly as difficult as I expected." Kakashi's eyes seemed to sparkle with amusement, making Naruko wonder if she was missing something. Meanwhile, Kakashi was impressed. Even talented young ninja often stumbled or overshot their destination the first time they tried the technique. Naruko had arrived exactly where she intended, with plenty of space between herself and the nearest tree. "Well then, let's go meet up with the team," he said, sounding much more cheerful than before. Break. After Sakura's very loud greeting, Kakashi began the day's training. Or rather, teamwork exercises. Naruko accepted the assignment and did her best. Sasuke and Sakura, however, were less enthusiastic. Sasuke believed he needed individual strength rather than teamwork, and Sakura spent much of her time agreeing with him. Kakashi sighed quietly. He didn't understand why the importance of teamwork seemed to have been forgotten. The academy instructors had often explained why cooperation mattered. Great ninja teams throughout history had succeeded because they trusted and supported one another. Unfortunately, those lessons appeared to have gone unnoticed. After an hour with little progress, Kakashi finally decided to move on. "All right, enough." Sasuke immediately headed off on his own. Kakashi turned toward Naruko. "Naruko, since you were the only one who consistently put effort into working with the team, here's your exercise." He performed a summoning technique. Kushios no Jutsu, Inupak. A puff of smoke appeared, and several dogs emerged. When the smoke cleared, a pug wearing a Leaf Village forehead protector raised a paw. "Yo!" Ignoring Sakura's startled gasp and the pug's amused expression, Kakashi handed a scroll to each dog. The final scroll went to the pug. "These are my summons," Kakashi explained. "Their leader is Pakun." The pug gave a friendly wave. "Naruko, these dogs are experts in tracking and stealth. They'll help you improve those skills. Your goal is to find the scrolls I've given them without being spotted. Pakun will teach you a few things before we begin. Whenever you find a scroll, open it. I'll know when you do. Naruko nodded attentively. I expect this exercise to take quite a while, Kakashi continued. Don't worry if you can't find everything right away. Learning takes time. Then a playful grin appeared on his face. To make things a little more challenging, they'll be tracking you, too. Naruko glanced at the smiling dogs and felt a small flutter of nervousness. These are Bull, Urushi, Shiba, Baisuke, Akino, Uhei, and Guruko, Kakashi said. They'll all be looking for you. If you manage to avoid them for 20 minutes, Pakun will join the search as well. The dogs wagged their tails eagerly. Have fun. With that, Naruko followed the 8 dogs into the forest, feeling both excited and determined. Kakashi then turned toward his remaining students. Now, he said thoughtfully, let's see what we can do next. Break. Where is she? Pakun wondered. Several hours had passed, and the exercise had become surprisingly difficult. None of the scrolls had been found, but the dogs hadn't found Naruko either. Not a single glimpse. Every promising trail eventually led nowhere. Pakun sat down and scratched his chin thoughtfully. As challenging as it was, he couldn't help feeling impressed. Naruko had shown remarkable creativity and patience. She was staying hidden from a highly experienced group of trackers, and she was doing it far better than anyone had expected. Wherever she was clearly learning a great deal, and having quite an adventure along the way. Naruko's eyes narrowed. In a swift motion, she leapt forward, snatched a scroll, and disappeared before the dogs even realized she had been there. She repeated the process 7 times, gathering scroll after scroll until only one remained. The final scroll was guarded by 2 dogs, while the other 6 wandered through the training ground searching for her. Naruko knew she would need a distraction. She pulled out a kunai and tossed it far behind her. The clang as it struck a tree trunk echoed through the forest. The dogs immediately perked up and rushed toward the sound, all except Pakun, who barked at them to stay where they were. Those silly ninkin, he grumbled. Just as distractible as ever. Where are you, kid? I'm ready for you. His constant muttering made Naruko smile. Carefully forming a hand sign, she whispered one of the techniques she had learned from the special scroll. Shadow Clone Jutsu. An exact copy of her appeared beside her without a puff of smoke. The clone nodded, understanding the plan immediately, and slipped away to create another distraction. A moment later, Pakun's nose twitched. There you are, he muttered. The little dog darted toward the scent trail, determined to find her. Meanwhile, the real Naruko quietly approached the final scroll. After checking carefully for traps, she picked it up and replaced it with a rock transformed to look exactly the same. By the time Pakun returned, still grumbling about talented young ninja, Naruko was already far away. Finding a quiet clearing, she sat down and opened the scrolls in the order she had collected them. The first scroll explained Earth-style chakra and how to control it. The earliest exercise involved taking a smooth stone, turning it into loose soil, and then changing it back into rock. According to the scroll, mastering the exercise meant doing it almost instantly. The other scrolls contained an impressive collection of Earth-style techniques. There were instructions, diagrams, and helpful notes. As she opened one scroll, a folded message slipped out. Naruko. These techniques match your chakra nature. I need to spend some time helping your teammates as well, so I won't always be available to guide you personally. Still, I know you can learn these quickly. Keep practicing, especially your physical skills. Most importantly, believe in yourself and keep working hard. After reading this note, please dispose of it properly. At the bottom was a tiny drawing of Kakashi giving a cheerful peace sign. Naruko chuckled. That's definitely from Kakashi-sensei. She carefully looked through the techniques. Some seemed advanced, while others appeared useful for everyday training. One technique created a dragon-shaped figure from earth, but it required many hand signs. Naruko decided she would focus first on the techniques she could use more quickly. As she reviewed the instructions, she noticed many earth-style techniques involved touching the ground with hands or feet. She wondered whether she could eventually perform some of them using only her feet. When she crumpled the note, she noticed writing on the back. P.S. Shadow clones can use techniques and learn independently. When they disappear, their experiences return to the original user. Happy training. Naruko's eyes widened. That's really useful. She safely disposed of the note and looked up. A circle of Ninkins surrounded her. Instead of appearing angry, they looked impressed. Pakun stepped forward. Congratulations, he said. You completed the challenge much faster than we expected. Your stealth skills are excellent. Your tracking skills could still use some practice, but you've done very well. Naruko smiled and nodded. Pakun grinned. As a reward, I shall allow you to touch my paw. He proudly held up a paw with soft pink pads. It's exceptionally comfortable. Naruko blinked. Really? Carefully, she reached out and touched it with one finger. Her eyes widened. It was unbelievably soft. Pakun looked very pleased with himself. See? Nobody believes me until they try it. Naruko laughed. You're right. That's amazing. Of course it is, Pakun replied proudly. Well, our work here is done. We'll see you again soon. By the way, Kakashi will still expect you to spend tomorrow training with us. Your teammates won't know you've already completed the challenge. With a friendly smile that reminded Naruko of Kakashi's own, Pakun vanished in a puff of smoke along with the other Ninkin. What an interesting group, Naruko said. She formed a hand sign. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Dozens of shadow clones appeared around her. Some immediately began practicing Earth-style chakra control. Others studied the techniques from the scrolls. Naruko herself focused on physical training, determined to grow stronger through effort and practice. The clearing soon buzzed with productive activity as every version of Naruko worked toward the same goal, becoming the best ninja she could be. Elsewhere, in a quiet office, Danzo sat at a desk while one of his subordinates stood nearby. Is everything prepared? Danzo asked calmly. Yes, sir, the ninja replied. We have completed the task. It took longer than expected because Naruko's apartment contained several clever security measures. Danzo raised an eyebrow. The ninja paused. However, everything has been arranged successfully. Very good, Danzo said. We can discuss the details later. For now, there are other matters that require our attention. The ninja nodded respectfully. As they returned to their work, neither realized how quickly Naruko was growing through her determination, creativity, and willingness to learn. Every challenge she faced only encouraged her to keep moving forward with confidence and optimism. Kakashi finished a long and demanding training session with his 3 Genin and headed toward the last one, his favorite student to supervise. It was remarkable how different the three were from one another. Following the directions his Ninkin had provided, he entered a forest clearing where Naruko had been left to train. The sight before him made him stop in his tracks. Naruko staggered across the clearing, her clothes dusty and torn in a few places. Several small cuts marked her arms, and she looked completely exhausted. For a brief moment, an old memory flashed through Kakashi's mind, but it vanished when he noticed how pale and tired she appeared. He hurried to her side and quickly used a basic scanning jutsu to check her condition. I'm okay, Kakashi, Naruko said between breaths. Don't talk right now, Kakashi replied gently. Just rest. Naruko managed a small smile. I trained a little too hard, she admitted. My muscles are worn out, but they'll recover soon. Kakashi raised an eyebrow. That sounded impossible, but his scan revealed something unusual. A powerful stream of chakra moved through Naruko's body, helping repair her strained muscles far faster than normal. Even as he watched, her condition steadily improved. Though, Naruko added, a good meal would really help. The answer immediately made sense to Kakashi. After such intense training, her body would need plenty of food and energy to recover. Stay here, he said. He helped her sit comfortably against a tree before creating a shadow clone to keep watch. Then he headed deeper into the forest to gather supplies for a hearty meal. Later that afternoon, Naruko sat beside a small campfire while Kakashi prepared food. Kakashi folded his arms. What exactly were you doing out here? He asked. Naruko looked slightly embarrassed. I was training my speed. Training your speed? Kakashi repeated. How does speed training leave you unable to stand? Naruko sighed. I may have made a few mistakes. Kakashi waited patiently. After finishing her meal and recovering some energy, Naruko stood and removed several weighted bracelets and anklets. The moment they came off, she suddenly darted forward. Whoosh! She moved so quickly that Kakashi nearly lost sight of her. A second later, Naruko gently bumped into a nearby tree and stepped back, rubbing her forehead. Ouch! Kakashi stared. That's what you were practicing? Naruko nodded. I was training with shadow clones while wearing weights. The problem was that these special chakra weights adjust themselves as I improve. I didn't notice how heavy they'd become until I was already exhausted. Kakashi blinked. That sounds like a very important detail to notice. Yes, Naruko admitted. I know that now. Earlier that day, Naruko had begun her training full of confidence. Weighted bracelets circled her wrists and ankles while several shadow clones stood nearby, ready to help her practice. At first, everything went well. The clones challenged her with obstacle courses, races, and reaction drills. Naruko dodged between trees, leapt over roots, and sprinted across the clearing. But as the hours passed, the weights grew heavier. Every time she adapted, they adjusted again. Soon every movement felt difficult. Naruko realized she had accidentally turned a simple training session into an enormous challenge. Still, she refused to quit. Instead, she began experimenting. By focusing chakra into her feet, she discovered she could launch herself forward in short bursts of speed. The first attempt sent her tumbling into a pile of leaves. The second sent her spinning in the wrong direction. The third worked beautifully. Soon she was zipping across the clearing faster than ever before. Her clones cheered each successful attempt and helped her refine the technique. By sunset, Naruko had created a brand new movement style built around quick, controlled bursts of speed. The only downside was that she had completely exhausted herself. Back in the present, Kakashi listened to the story with a mixture of amusement and disbelief. So after all that, he said, did you at least learn something useful? Naruko grinned. Several things. Such as? First, always pay attention to training equipment. A very good lesson. Second, bring extra food. Also wise. And third. She looked proudly at her feet. I invented a new speed technique. Kakashi smiled beneath his mask. Does it have a name? Naruko thought for a moment. The technique was fast, smooth, and precise, carrying her forward in quick bursts that felt like gliding through the wind. Finally, she nodded. I'll call it Swift Step. Kakashi chuckled. It suits you. As the evening sun filtered through the trees, teacher and student shared a quiet meal beside the fire. Naruko felt tired but happy. She had learned valuable lessons, created a new technique, and discovered that determination worked best when balanced with patience and good planning. And from that day forward, whenever she trained, she always remembered to check her weights first. A month had passed since the day in the clearing, and Naruko could tell that things were about to get interesting. Or at least irritating. I need higher ranked missions so that I can get stronger. Give me a C rank at the least, or I will go to the council. came the loud complaint of Sasuke Uchiha. Naruko quietly pulled out a book as Iruka began explaining something that nobody seemed particularly interested in hearing. After a while, the third Hokage interrupted with a tired sigh. Very well. Team 7 will have a C-rank mission. Iruka, please bring in Tazuna. Kakashi and Iruka exchanged surprised looks. Naruko simply turned a page in her book. Things rarely went the way anyone expected around the village. Iruka stepped out of the room, leaving Sasuke to enthusiastically tell Sakura how well he expected to perform. Sakura listened politely, clearly happy to hear him talk. Tazuna felt hopeful as he walked into the mission room inside the Hokage's tower. The bridge builder had spent many years learning to pay attention to people. His father had always taught him that careful observation could tell you far more than words ever could. As he entered the room, he immediately began studying the shinobi assigned to escort him. The first person he noticed was a tall jonin with silver hair and a relaxed posture. A mask covered much of his face, and a book rested casually in one hand. At first glance, the man looked easygoing and distracted. Yet Tazuna noticed details others might miss. The way he stood suggested confidence and experience. His attention seemed relaxed, but his eyes quietly followed everything happening in the room. He reminded Tazuna of a teacher watching over a classroom, aware of every student even while appearing completely at ease. This must be their leader. Next, Tazuna noticed a pink-haired girl speaking cheerfully. Her bright clothing and friendly smile made her seem approachable and kind. She listened attentively to her teammates and carried herself with determination. While she looked young, there was a focus in her eyes that suggested she took her training seriously. The third member was a dark-haired boy standing nearby. He appeared calm and reserved. Though he spoke little, he observed everything around him carefully. Tazuna guessed he preferred thinking before speaking. Finally, Tazuna spotted the fourth member. At first, he almost missed her entirely. Only her sun-kissed blonde hair drew his attention. The young kunoichi stood quietly near the wall, dressed in practical shades of gray and black. A dark haori rested over her clothes, and several scrolls hung neatly from her belt. Unlike the others, she seemed perfectly comfortable remaining unnoticed. As Tazuna studied her, he noticed that her blue eyes calmly observed the room. They reminded him of a clear summer sky, bright, alert, and thoughtful. There was something unusual about her presence. She wasn't trying to stand out. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She simply looked prepared. The longer Tazuna observed her, the more he felt reassured. She carried herself with the confidence of someone who trusted her skills without needing to boast about them. For a brief moment, Naruko glanced in his direction. Her expression remained polite and calm. Tazuna found himself smiling slightly. This young kunoichi seemed dependable. Realizing he had spent enough time studying the group, he stepped forward and spoke with a chuckle. So, these are the young shinobi who are going to protect me? Naruko closed her book and smiled. It looks like we're your escort team, sir. We'll do our best to make your journey safe and successful. Tazuna nodded. For the first time that day, he felt completely confident that everything was going to work out just fine. So, these are the youngsters who are going to look after me? Came the rough voice of a wrinkled old man. Naruko looked at him, noticing that he seemed much sharper than he let on. The man lifted the bottle at his side and took a sip before continuing. We've got a scarecrow, a hawk, a pink songbird, and a ducktail. I thought I paid for protection. Naruko blinked in surprise. Of all the nicknames she expected to hear, Hawk was not one of them. A moment later, Kakashi gently held Sakura back as she stepped forward to protest. Now, Sakura, he said calmly. Let's all be polite to our client. Kakashi glanced toward Naruko. She could tell he had noticed the same thing she had. The old man was hiding something. The man looked between them, shrugged, and took another sip from his bottle. Kakashi spoke again, his relaxed voice carrying a note of confidence. I'm sure my Jinan will do just fine helping you. And if something unexpected happens, I'm a Jonin for a reason. The word reason carried just enough emphasis for everyone to notice. Sasuke folded his arms. I am an Uchiha, he said proudly. I'll do my best to handle whatever comes our way. The old man gave him a thoughtful look but kept his comments to himself. Kakashi continued. I'm Kakashi. The ducktail is Sasuke. Sasuke frowned. The songbird is Sakura, and the hawk over there is Naruko. His visible eye curved into a smile. Stay close to us, and we'll make sure your journey goes smoothly. The old man nodded, feeling a little more reassured. Very well, then. My name is the Super Bridge Builder Tazuna, and don't you forget it. You'll be accompanying me home while I finish building a bridge. Kakashi nodded. All right, everyone. Meet at the gate in an hour. That should give you enough time to gather your things. Naruko and Sasuke nodded. Sakura hurried from the room, talking excitedly about preparing for the trip. Tazuna watched them go and quietly hoped everything would work out. Break. About 40 minutes later, Naruko arrived at the memorial stone and found Kakashi there, as usual. For a moment, they stood together in thoughtful silence before Kakashi spoke. You know, ever since you joined my team, you've often come here in the mornings. Who are you visiting? Naruko was quiet for a moment. My mother, she answered softly. Kakashi looked surprised. You know who your parents are? Naruko shook her head. Only my mother. How did you figure that out? A small smile appeared on her face. My last name is Uzumaki, Kakashi. I did some research. There have only been a few Uzumaki in the village records. One of them was Uzumaki Kushina. The timing makes me think she may have been my mother. Kakashi listened carefully. I haven't been able to learn much more than that, Naruko continued. But I hope that one day I'll discover the rest of the story. Kakashi's expression softened. Your parents were both brave people, he said. They cared deeply about others. Naruko looked at him thoughtfully. So you knew them? Kakashi nodded. A little. Then who can tell me more? After a brief pause, Kakashi answered. A man named Jiraiya may be able to help when the time is right. Naruko recognized the name and tucked the information away for later. A comfortable silence followed before she spoke again. So what do you think Tazuna is hiding? Kakashi considered the question. I'm not completely sure, but I think there's more to this mission than we've been told. Naruko nodded. I had the same feeling. Kakashi looked toward her. Whatever happens, keep an eye on your teammates. A good shinobi looks after the people around her. Naruko smiled. I can do that. The two stood quietly for a little while longer before heading toward the meeting point, arriving several minutes early. Break. Naruko had seen many unusual things in her life, but one sight still surprised her. Watching Sakura enthusiastically explain her plans and ideas to Tazuna was quite an experience. The bridge builder listened patiently while she talked, nodded politely, and occasionally glanced around as if searching for an escape route. Naruko couldn't help laughing. For all his grumbling, Tazuna seemed to be enjoying the company more than he wanted to admit. Luckily, or unluckily depending on your point of view, Kakashi stopped Naruko from acting on her impatient thoughts by speaking up. Okay, has everyone got everything? He asked. His eye swept across the group. Sasuke carried a reasonably sized pack filled with useful gear. Kakashi nodded in approval. Then he looked at Sakura, whose bag was much larger than necessary. Before saying anything, he glanced at Naruko. She stood calmly with a small scroll tucked safely inside her jacket. Kakashi smiled beneath his mask. At least one of his students understood how to pack efficiently. Sakura, what all is in that bag? Kakashi asked. Sakura smiled proudly. I have some food, a few changes of clothes, perfume, a nice dress, lotions, creams, and... Kakashi's shoulders slowly slumped lower and lower as the list continued. Eventually, he raised a hand. "Sakura, give me your bag." Confused, she handed it over. As he walked toward the gate guard's desk, he asked, "Sakura, you attended the academy, right?" "Of course. I was one of the top students," she replied. Kakashi nodded. "Then tell me the basic things a shinobi should bring on a mission." Sakura thought for a moment. "Food, shelter, spare clothing, water, and shinobi tools." "Correct." A look of realization slowly crossed Sakura's face. Kakashi opened the bag and carefully sorted through the contents. "Many of these things are fine for everyday life," he said gently, "but missions require preparation. You need to think about helping your team and taking care of yourself in the field." Sakura lowered her head. "I understand." Kakashi smiled. "Good. Learning from mistakes is part of becoming a shinobi." He exchanged her bag for one containing more practical supplies and returned the extra items to the gate guards for safekeeping until they returned. Then he turned toward the rest of the team. "Sasuke, what did you bring?" Sasuke listed his supplies. Food, water, spare clothing, a tent, shinobi tools, and a scroll from his family library. Kakashi nodded. "Naruko?" Naruko opened her scroll. Inside was a detailed inventory. Food, ration bars and sealed meals. Clothing, several spare outfits. Medical supplies, bandages, first aid materials, and water purification equipment. Shinobi gear, training tools and utility equipment. Miscellaneous items, a tent, cooking supplies, books, and extra scrolls. Kakashi looked impressed. "Excellent preparation, Naruko." Sakura looked surprised. "You thought of all that?" Naruko shrugged. "My grandfather always said that planning ahead makes every journey easier." The group continued down the road. Tazuna quietly chose to walk near Naruko, feeling reassured by her calm and organized attitude. For the next hour, the journey was peaceful. Naruko and Kakashi chatted about travel, books, and training. Then both of them noticed something unusual. Someone seemed to be watching from nearby. Kakashi subtly signaled the team to stay alert. Ahead, two suspicious puddles sat beside the road despite the clear weather. Naruko immediately knew something was odd. When the group reached the puddles, two hidden travelers suddenly revealed themselves. Fortunately, they looked more nervous than dangerous. Before anyone could panic, Naruko stepped forward. "Hello," she said politely. "Can we help you with something?" The two strangers blinked. Clearly, they had not expected such a friendly greeting. After a brief conversation, it became clear that they had been hired to gather information about Tazuna's bridge project. They were frightened and unsure what to do. Rather than escalating the situation, Kakashi calmly questioned them while Naruko listened carefully. Eventually, they explained everything they knew. A wealthy businessman named Gato was unhappy about the bridge because it would help the people of Wave Country become more independent. The strangers admitted they had been asked to watch for Tazuna's movements. Kakashi thanked them for their honesty. "If you truly want a better path," he said, "you can choose one from this moment forward." The two travelers nodded gratefully. After receiving a stern warning and some advice, they left peacefully. Sakura stared in amazement. "That's it? No fighting?" Kakashi chuckled. "Not every problem needs to be solved with a contest of strength. Sometimes information, patience, and good judgment are far more valuable." Naruko smiled. "And sometimes being prepared helps too." "Exactly," Kakashi replied. The team continued toward Wave Country with a better understanding of teamwork, responsibility, and the importance of making thoughtful choices. Naruko adjusted the strap of her small pack and walked quietly beside Kakashi. The forest path stretched ahead beneath the shade of tall trees, and the sound of rustling leaves filled the air. Everyone remained alert, but the tension from earlier slowly began to fade. Tazuna glanced toward the blonde Kunoichi. Her bright blue eyes moved carefully from one side of the road to the other, always watching, always paying attention. "I've been wondering," Tazuna said thoughtfully. "Why do you take this mission so seriously? You're still so young." Naruko looked at him for a moment before smiling softly. "Because people are counting on us." The simple answer surprised him. "When someone asks for help," she continued, "it means they're trusting us. If we accept that responsibility, we should do our best." Tazuna was quiet for a few moments. "That's a very grown-up way of thinking." Naruko shrugged. "Maybe. But I think helping people is important." Sakura smiled faintly at that. Even Sasuke, walking a short distance away, didn't argue. The group continued forward until the trees began to thin. Soon, the scent of salt drifted through the air. "We're getting close to the sea," Tazuna said. Naruko's eyes brightened immediately. "The ocean?" she asked. Tazuna chuckled. "First time seeing it?" She nodded enthusiastically. "A real ocean. I've only seen pictures." The old bridge builder couldn't help smiling at her excitement. Not long afterward, the trees opened completely, revealing a wide stretch of sparkling blue water. Sunlight danced across the waves like thousands of tiny diamonds. Naruko stopped in her tracks. "Whoa!" For a moment, all thoughts of missions and danger disappeared. She simply stared. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Even Sakura paused to admire the view. "It really is." Kakashi watched his students with his visible eye curved into a smile. "It's good to appreciate places like this," he said. "The world is bigger than the village walls." Naruko nodded slowly. She had always dreamed of seeing new places, meeting new people, and learning about the world beyond Konoha. Standing beside the ocean, she felt as though one of those dreams had finally come true. Tazuna gestured toward a small boat waiting near the shore. "Come on. Wave country is just ahead." The team climbed aboard, and the boat quietly drifted across the water. As they traveled through the gentle sea mist, Naruko sat near the edge, watching seabirds soar overhead. They glided effortlessly through the sky, carried by the wind. "One day," she said softly, "I want to travel everywhere." Sakura tilted her head. "Everywhere?" Naruko grinned. "Everywhere." Kakashi glanced at her from beneath his forehead protector. "That's quite a goal." "Then I'll just have to work hard enough to reach it." The answer earned a small smile from her teacher. The boat continued forward through the mist, carrying Team 7 toward Wave Country and the new adventures waiting beyond the horizon. Dear YouTube family, that's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more content. Thank you for your support. Regards, 6 Path Weeb.